Hello, welcome back to We the People Politics. Today, we will be making a 2024 election prediction map between President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump based only on polls conducted throughout April and early May of this year. Like in my last prediction, states do not have any polling data from April or May will be represented on this map by the most recent poll to come from that state. We will be using polls that both include and exclude third-party candidates, but if any poll has data for both, like this poll from the Bullfinch group, we will only use the data that includes third parties and excludes the head-to-head matchup. As you can see on this map, Delaware, the District of Columbia, and Nebraska's 1st and 3rd congressional districts do not have any polling data for the 2024 election cycle. Therefore, they will not be filled in so that zero bias will be present in this prediction. With all of that said, let's get predicting. We will first take a look at the national polls, where Trump has about a 1 point lead overall, a similar lead to last month's margin. However, the national polls have very little importance when it comes to predicting who will actually win the presidency. What is more important to me would be the statewide polls, so let's take a look at those. We will start with the safe states, which are determined by a margin of 12 percentage points or more. For President Biden, these states will be California, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Maryland, and Vermont. For President Trump, these states will be Alaska, Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska at large, Kansas, Oklahoma, Iowa, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, West Virginia, South Carolina, and Maine's 2nd congressional district. For the first time this year, he will also carry the state of Utah, as a recent Noble Predictive Insights poll has him up by a margin of 24 percentage points, up from 9 last month, bringing his total to 130 safe electoral votes against Biden's 82. As for the remaining states, we will go from west to east, starting with the state of Hawaii, where we have a shock poll from the Bullfinch group that has Biden up by only 8%, including third parties. I expected Hawaii to be closer than 2020 due to Biden's unpopular response to the Maui wildfires, but for its first poll this cycle to be only 8% is actually insane. An 8 point margin will make Hawaii likely Biden. A likely margin is anything between 5 and 12 percentage points. If you thought that was crazy, we have a new outlier poll from the state of Washington, also from the Bullfinch group, that has Donald Trump winning by a 5 point margin, up from minus 11 points last month. The poll does have a small sample size, and it is very unlikely that Trump wins Washington state, but a 5 point margin does mean that in this prediction, Washington will be likely Trump. We move to Washington's southern neighbor of Oregon, where Biden leads by an 11% margin in its most recent poll, down from 15% in last month's video, making it likely Biden. Down in Nevada, Trump leads by a margin of 8% on average, up from last month's margin of 5.5%, making it likely for Trump. Over in Arizona, Trump leads by a margin of 3%, which is slightly lower than last month's margin of about 4.5%, making the state of Arizona lean Trump. A lean margin is determined by anywhere between 2 and 5 percentage points. The state of Colorado does not have any new polling data from April or May, so we will use the most recent margin that has them up by 10%, meaning that Colorado will be likely Biden. Same story in New Mexico, where we have not received any new polling since August of last year, where Biden was leading by an 8 point margin. Therefore, we will say that New Mexico is also likely Biden. In Texas, Trump leads by an average of 10 percentage points, which is equal to his lead in last month's video. With a lead of 10, Trump will take the Lone Star State by a likely margin. We now have polling data from Nebraska's 2nd congressional district, where despite losing it by 6 percentage points last time, Trump currently leads by a 3% margin in a poll from Public Policy Polling, so we would say that it leans Trump. We have some surprising polls from Minnesota. where, in a head-to-head matchup, Trump leads the most recent poll by 3%. However, the third-party poll has an even split between the candidates, which, when combined with the Survey USA poll from early April, will make Minnesota tilt Biden by a 1-point margin. A tilt margin is anything determined by under 2 percentage points. Moving over to the state of Wisconsin, Trump has slightly improved his performance in the state by a 0.5-point margin, raising the margin to Trump plus 2.5 percentage points, meaning that Wisconsin will be lean Trump. Illinois has not received any new polling data since an October Emerson College poll that had Biden up by 10%. So we would say that Illinois will be likely Biden. Moving over to Michigan, Trump is currently leading by a margin of 2.5%, down from 3% in the previous video, meaning that Michigan is also lean Trump. Down in Ohio, Trump leads by 11 points in a March poll, and we will use that one as it is the most recent poll in the state. That will make Ohio likely Trump. Moving down to Florida, Trump leads in his home state by just under an 11-point margin, way up from 6.5 points in the last video, making it likely Trump. Up in the state of Georgia, Trump has improved his lead from a 5-point margin to a 7-point margin, which will make it likely Trump. North Carolina is very similar to Georgia. Trump leads by a 5.5-point margin, slightly down from a 6-point margin last month, making North Carolina likely Trump. Moving over to the state of Virginia, a new poll that was sponsored by Donald Trump has Biden up by only 3%, including Kennedy and other third-party candidates, lowering Biden's previous likely margin of 5% to a lean margin. Moving over to our final major swing state of Pennsylvania, Trump leads by 2.5 percentage points, up from 1 percentage point last month, making Pennsylvania lean Trump. There has been no change in the state of New Jersey, where Biden currently leads by a very low margin of 5 percentage points, making the state of New Jersey likely Biden. Up in the state of New York, Biden maintains his previous lead of 10 percentage points from a previous February poll, which means that Trump's former home state will be likely Biden. We still do not have any new polls from Connecticut, meaning that Biden's lead of 9 percentage points from October will make the state likely Biden. We also do not have any new polling data from the state of New Hampshire, so we will use the most recent poll from Marist College that has Biden winning by a 3-point margin, making New Hampshire lean Biden. Finally, up in Maine at large in its first congressional district, neither have received any new polling since February, so the margins remain the same, with the first district being likely Biden at 8%, and the state at large being likely Trump at 6%. And with that, we conclude the video. Trump wins with an astounding 325 electoral votes to Biden's 205. And here we have a map showing the change from the previous video. As you can see, Trump has overall improved his performance. However, Biden has improved in the key swing states of Arizona, North Carolina, and Michigan. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I'd appreciate a like and a subscribe, and do feel free to respectfully comment your thoughts down below. With all that said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I cannot wait to see you in the next one.